and welcome to Story X Story, the podcast by Mayamada that dives deep into stories across pop culture, plus gives you advice on creating your own. It's episode 205, and I am your co-host, Nigel.
I am Tazziii, content creator and co-host.
And for our roundtable episodes, we like to bring together some great guests across the games industry and wider culture to talk about the games that we are playing and try and make sense of important news stories, at least important to us. And today, just like a Kendrick Lamar halftime Super Bowl show, there is a lot of melanin in this room. So we have a few people with us on this roundtable. Firstly, content creator Tori, aka TJBASC. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. First time on the show, although you were part of the Do I Look Like a Gamer campaign, which I'm just realizing everyone here was part of the Do I Look Like a Gamer campaign at some point. That was not intentional, but a nice surprise. Also with us is content creator Nelle. Nelle, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, yeah, happy to have you. And last but certainly not least is a relative podcast veteran because he's been here once before on a video game roundtable back in 2021, but is making a return. Nimmz. Nimmz, welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy to be here. Happy to be back.
Yeah, good to have you. I should have said you're also content creator, host, presenter, dancer. You've got like a whole list of things that you do.
Yeah, just a couple of things.
All right. So, yeah, for people listening, you can subscribe to Story X Story wherever you get your podcast from, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also send us your feedback and questions in several ways. You can send us a voice message on our Spotify for Podcasters page. You can email us studio77@mymatter.com. Or you can throw your thoughts at us on social media. We are at MyMatter on Twitter, at MyMatter TV on Instagram and TikTok, and at mymatter.com on Blue Sky. Also at Life of a W Gamer on Instagram and TikTok, and Tazziii everywhere else, including tazziii.bsky.social on Blue Sky. And for anyone that has recently visited the mymatter.com website, you might notice it looks a little different. Basically took it down, deleted it, in fact, it's gone, and replaced it with a holding page while we work on the new website. So we've been doing some sort of branding review and stuff in the background. So we're switching up, doing a whole new mymatter.com website later in the year. And also switching up the Discord stuff again behind the scenes. So you can still go to the mymatter.com website and you'll kind of see what we're about and a little bit of the new direction. You can also get a new comic. And you can join the Discord as well to be part of the MyMatter community. And then, we've got changes for both coming up. So before we get to today's video game discussions, let's update you with the latest from the MyMatter universe. And I mentioned new comic. So yeah, we have a new comic, and that's news. That is it. Actually, we have a new comic. It's done. I feel like if you've listened to our podcast over the last year, you'll kind of know what's coming because the book hasn't changed. We've just actually done it now. So Origins Against All Odds was thankfully kickstarted last year. And finally, it's been a long production, but the book is done. And we are also having a in-person launch event for it. So this is the first in our Origins series within the Mayamada universe, which features real-life characters, i.e. our team, as anthropomorphic versions of themselves in the Mayamada universe. So it's very meta in that sense. And this first one, Against All Odds, features Tazzii's character in the Mayamada universe for a reflective, hope-filled manga about pursuing your creative career goals in the face of resistance from doubters and the world around you. So, yeah, like I mentioned, you can get a copy from the website, mymatter.com. You can also join our launch event on March the 7th at the Japanese Gallery Kensington. Specifically their anime gallery, which is like 2 doors down from the main shop. So we're going to be doing that in the evening from 6 p.m. for a intimate event. We're going to have like the book. We're going to have some of the team. So we're going to have Tazziii as well. And we're going to have a roundtable featuring a panel of female creators, creative professionals, and practitioners talking about the creative journey and the ups and downs and the themes that are in this manga. So as we record, haven't yet announced. We're just waiting to finalize some. I think one more panelist, and then we'll make that announcement. So it might have been done by the time you listen to this. But yeah, head to mymatter.com. There'll be a link to the event page where you can get your tickets. RSVPs are very much limited. If you're quick, you can get a ticket, and first come, first serve. So check that out. We'll have more on our social media in the coming weeks, and yeah, just look forward to having that book in print or virtually and sharing that with people. Also coming over the year is our Do I Look Like a Gamer campaign, which is a campaign promoting diversity and inclusion in the video games industry. And unfortunately, that still needs to be done. Yeah, this is it's going to be a wild year in some respects. So this is about showcasing like different people in games, different perspectives, different pathways into the industry. It's a yearly initiative, and each year we start with a snapshot of 40 players and makers to showcase the representation where it does exist to inspire future generations of diverse talent. So we're currently doing this year's photo shoot. So we're working out that. We're going to have campaign photo shoot dates in London and the North. So if you go to the website, looklikeagamer.com, there'll be a link to potentially join that, so you can submit your interest for that. Like I said, everyone here has done it, so we've all been in it in various years. And I think Nimmz was actually number one. You were the first person. You might have actually been the first person. We're going to if we ever have a Wikipedia page, we're going to put that in there. Nimmz was the first person to.
I think I was. I think
Yeah.
I
I
think I
think
was
you
season
literally
one.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you were literally the first person to show up, I think. So
Yeah.
there's some, I don't know, history.
Nimmz at number one.
Yeah. So we've got that. And then, yeah, we're gathering another 40. And then we've got our events over the year, events and appearances. So we're lining that up as best we can. So we'll be updating as we go. We're also on Twitch. So our Studio 77 activities, it's our digital platform where we host different shows with creative professionals and play games for your amusement. So each month you can enjoy different shows. So we have the Studio 77 report with myself and Tazziii. I do a series called Casual Conversations with comic creators, and we have our games night, which is basically us playing games with our community and a healthy dose of chaos in there. So we did Marvel Rivals recently, which was really cool. So yeah, make sure you are following MyMadder on Twitch, and yeah, catch each show. You get notifications, and if I'm switched on enough, I will actually update the schedule ahead of time instead of on the day, which I'm guessing makes no difference. But yeah, just follow us on Twitch and you see it. So if you're a young aspiring creative professional or you know one, then check out our Showrunners Work Experience program. So we created this program about a year ago and continuing to develop it, creating opportunities for young people aged 16 and up to work with our team across comic production, events, and content creation. And one of the good things about this upcoming launch event is that there's a lot of showrunners that have worked on this comic, which has been really cool to see. So hopefully it's as well as the new story and everything, it's an opportunity for them to sort of have that moment and everything. So that will be good. Looking forward to that. Yeah, if you're interested in taking part in the next one, because there's a lot of writing to be done, email us showrunners@mymatter.com to find out more. Cool. All right, now we're all caught up with the My Matter universe. Let's talk about some of the games that we've been playing this week, or at least maybe since the last time we did this roundtable. So it might be a long list.
We're going to have a spoiler-free discussion about what video games people have been playing. So we'll start with our guests and we'll go with Tori first.
Well, I have been playing 4 games. I'll say 4 because I was going to say 3. So the first one is Stardew Valley. I've been absolutely obsessed with it. Just Dance 2025, Uncharted 3, which I started last week actually, and Marvel Rivals.
Nice. Good selection there. Good selection.
Did some new stuff come out for Stardew Valley, like a recent update or something?
Yes, they had a very big 1.6 update. That was actually sometime last year though for PC. No, it was the beginning of last year for PC, and it only came out like on Switch November of last year. And I started playing Stardew Valley last year, And then when the dev announced the 1.6 update, I was like, I'm not going to play it until it comes out on Switch. And I was about to buy it on Steam. And I thought, if I buy this on Steam and the next day the dev says the update's on Switch, I'm going to be upset. So I waited it out until November, and now I haven't stopped playing it since.
I've never actually played it, but I was talking about it with someone recently, and they were saying like, "Oh, I really want to play this game." And I was like, "Yeah, from what I've seen of it, it looks interesting." It also reminds me of, and I could be way off here, but Animal Crossing. Is it anywhere in that direction?
Well, I would say that if you've played Stardew Valley, it's not the OG farming game, but it's very much up there in terms of like the big three in terms of farming games. Like I would say every farming game on Animal Crossing onwards has been inspired by Stardew Valley in some way.
Okay. I was going to make another Kendrick reference, but I will not get into that. Now.
I would say Stardew Valley is like Animal Crossing, but stressful.
It's stressful. Like it's there's a lot to do. I get distracted very easily because I'm like, oh, I need to go to the blacksmith. Oh wait, hold on, but I need to do this. Oh, but I need to do this, and then I forget exactly why I actually started playing.
And then the day's over. Like I don't understand how people call that a cozy game. I'm like, where's the cozy? I just constantly am in panic playing that game. It's like chores, but on like a even more serious.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying it though.
Yeah, it's fun.
Nelly, what about you? What games have you been playing?
For myself, Rivals as well. That has been had me quite most of my time. To be fair, so yeah, I've been playing a lot of Rivals. I have been playing a bit of Fortnite in trying to complete the Battle Pass because I think that's coming to an end soon. So I've been trying to make sure I get to level 100 or whatever it is to complete the Battle Pass. And then out of the woodworks, I've got back into Warframe. I hadn't played it since probably, I'd say 3 years ago, maybe even a bit more than that. I played it a lot during lockdown, during COVID time. And then you could only I missed the window of like the cross save where you can move your save. And then it got to a point where I first started playing it on my Switch. I was like, okay, I have a PS5, I have a PC. Like, I'm not going to continue playing this on my Nintendo Switch. I would like to play it on something better. And then, I think a couple of years ago, they finally let you do the cross progression, but I hadn't played it in like so many years. I wasn't really into it. And now all of a sudden it's got me back again. So now I'm playing it on my PC and I can see everything now. So yeah, Warframe definitely has me again.
We love it when games draw us back in.
Yeah.
Like we don't have backlogs, but
so many games staring at me like, really? You really went back after 5 years?
Nimmz, what about yourself?
So at the minute, from Christmas until now, the game that's just I think I've been playing it at least like 2 to 3 times a week with friends and family is Mario Party Jamboree. I just love it. Like it's just I think they've really like the online mechanic in this is so like sweet that you can just jump on and play board games with friends, like cause absolute chaos, and just like everybody here I'm sure has played a Mario Party game. So you know like how it will test your patience, it will test your blood pressure, and like just I've been playing a lot of Mario Party with friends and family. And another game I've been playing for quite a while that I kind of play at least once a week at the minute is Granblue Fantasy Relink, which is a action JRPG with an online multiplayer mechanic. So if you just think like teams of 4 people, as in like you and your 4 friends, just taking on massive monsters and just going bonkers. Yeah, that's another one. And then the most recent one, which I just completed a couple of days ago, and I absolutely adored it. I won't spoil it for anyone. Locomotive.
Oh my gosh, I need to play that.
Yeah, if you've heard of it, honestly, guys, it's anybody who's listening out there as well, and to everybody in the room right now, like it's brilliant. Like it's got excellent voice acting in there. One of my good friends, I know, is one of the voice actors in the game, and just if you like murder mystery. If you like, you guys just mentioned cozy before. I found that game so cozy. Like I just sat on the couch or even on my commutes to work and stuff. Like, yeah, it's a murder mystery with the point and click adventure style sort of gameplay. But yeah, it was brilliant. Like the characters, the dialogue, it's yeah, I personally think it's a must have in your library because yeah, it was brilliant game. So yeah, they're my 3 games that I'm kind of like been playing recently. Yeah.
Nice, good selection there as well. Love a good bit of Mario Party. My favorite is still Mario Party 4 on the GameCube, but
Oh my god, the Mario Party 4 is like that. Honestly, I genuinely think I had like some sort of like trauma after Mario Party 4. Like
oh, no.
that one is the most brutal one by far, I think.
Maybe that's why I like it.
Oh god.
Yeah, so the other day I decided to play Titanfall 2.
Oh wow.
Well, it was Valentine's, and I was playing Apex Legends, and I was just getting really mad because I'm really bad at it because I haven't played for ages. And I was like, I need something to cheer me up. And to me, Titanfall 2 is a good Valentine's Day game because it's about the love of, oh my god, I forgot, BT and the pilot. It's a very emotional story. So yeah, I was like, I'll play a chapter of that. So I'm going to play through like a chapter on stream, each stream kind of thing. Because I feel like that storyline is slept on. I feel like I bring up Titanfall 2 like most roundtables.
You do mention it quite a bit.
Good game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I would love
believe you.
Respawn to make a Titanfall 3, but unfortunately, Apex Legends is going to make sure that doesn't happen. Maybe one day when like the world gets over live service games,
Sure, we got something for that later. Yeah.
then I can get my Titanfall 3. I might be like old and frail, but and then Echoes of Wisdom, which I was playing for a bit and then I put it down and then I just picked it back up again. I went just like literally, but that was my chill out before the stream. And then like Infinity Niki I've been playing, which yeah, is a great game it's just a great game. Do you know the amount of people that I spoke to and they're men that they've been like, oh, what are you playing? I'm like, Infinity Niki is great. And they're like, oh, not really my thing. And I'm like, have you played it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, how do you know it's not your thing then?
Fair point.
And they're like they try and justify it. They're like, oh, and I'm like, you haven't played this game. Like, it is so good. Like, I love it because of the fashion side of it, but the mechanics are really good.
Is that the one? Is that the one with the girl on the bike?
Yes.
Okay, right.
And the adorable little cat Momo. Oh my god.
Okay, yeah. I have seen people play that because it's available on mobile, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen people play it on mobile.
Which makes it like it's like super easy to pick up and play. It's just a super chill, like it's kind of like Breath of the Wild meets Genshin Impact meets something else, but it's a lot of fun.
You just made a shareholder somewhere go, whoa.
It's a lot of fun,
get
yeah.
that.
It's like you're like bug catching, foraging, fishing, collecting materials, and then you craft in it. It just so happens that instead of like armor, it's pretty clothing. And you can play dress up. But if you're not that interested in a fashion, you can still have a fashion battle because you can just do it by stats, which is essentially like you can compare it to other games. It just has really great mechanics. I absolutely recommend anyone to try it. If you're not into the whole fashion thing, just skip through all the story bits and just play the game for like the beautiful game that it is.
See, it's what I think, because I was saying about like our comic where it's sometimes perception where people think, oh, because there's a woman or girl on the cover, it's only for women.
Yeah.
And either, well, I guess I just kind of mentioned it about our comic. I feel once it's out, we're going to get a lot of, oh, this is for girls. And in a way, there is, you know, because there was themes and everything, but they are universal themes, but it's just a weird perception and assumption we make over what, you know, is shown in the game.
Like, I just think about the fact that I play games with guns and, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the things that, and like all the Uncharted games and stuff like that, they have a man on the cover with a gun, and I play those. You can play a game that has a girl on the cover in a dress. Like, get over it. Especially when people like, one of the most popular things is to make a girl character in so many video games like that have customization. So if you like the type of game, like if you like even like Pokemon or like Final Fantasy, like it's yeah, cool little sort of like RPG adventure game. Nigel, what have you been playing?
So I've been playing. I've been playing some things. So like the feels like the whole world. Yeah, we played some Marvel Rivals for our last games night that I mentioned, and yeah, I was only. I mean, what do we do? Like a couple hours or so, but it was cool. You know what? I think we said it on the stream. It looks good. I think that's the first thing that struck me. It looks like visually the way the character designs have been done in a way that isn't just mimicking the actors over the last whatever's been 12 years of the MCU, but it's its own style, and it's a cool style which I quite like. And then yeah, the gameplay seems fun as well. Just as someone who isn't into competitive online shooters anymore, once upon a time, but it's just something that I can enjoy playing whether we win or not, to a certain extent, because I feel I'm personally of a mind, if I'm good enough, then I get competitive. So there's like a line. If I feel I'm good enough, then I get competitive. If it's below that line, then it's whatever. And at least for the first time of playing it, it was whatever. But we did win some rounds, I will note. So yeah, that was cool. I mentioned this recently on the podcast. I finished Little Nightmares 2. So I was playing that on my Nintendo Switch. Started just before Christmas, or maybe on Christmas, I think. And yeah, just been playing that. It's the kind of game I like because it's short enough that I can finish it. And that gives me a good feeling. But really like the first one. The second one, which takes place before the first one, is just kind of, I was going to say more of the same, but they have switched up the mechanics because there's two characters in it. So then it becomes the puzzles and environmental stuff becomes a bit different with two players. And then it's just creepy. There's definitely moments where it's not necessarily a scary game, but a creepy and unsettling game at times. And just always impressed with the idea that there's no dialogue in this, so it's very much about like visual storytelling and what these characters sort of go through, and environmental storytelling as well. So very impressive. Very impressed with that. Astrobot, the game of the year for many outlets and platforms. I played the PS5 sort of built-in game and just loved it, and never played an Astrobot game before that. It's, for me, and I imagine for a lot of people, it's just joy in a video game. And that might sound like, I know sometimes that can sound like not enough, but it's games. We play games to enjoy them, and it's such a fun, like, positive time. But then also it's a very good it's a very good game, very good mechanics. It's like Mario games. It just feels like I was going to say spiritual successor, like we're not going to get more Mario games and haven't, but it just feels like that on the PlayStation. So it does come wrapped in a lot of PlayStation nostalgia, but I'd say that's not critical to the enjoyment of the game. But yeah, just the game itself. So I've been playing this since, when did I get it? Maybe just before Christmas. So I've just been sort of dipping in and out of it. So it's not necessarily the most difficult game, but it does have difficulty spikes or certain levels that like ramp up the difficulty. I don't know if anyone's played it.
I have not played it.
It's so there's moments where you'll kind of go through and it's fine, and then you'll get to a certain level where it's like, okay, I'm doing this over and over and over. In fact, I'm on a boss at the moment which I'm doing over and over again. But I quite like it. It's just that balance is there. It's just a very well done game. Just one of my favorites. Just absolute like enjoyable time playing it. And my last one is Sifu, which was given away free. Like, I didn't realize this, but every so often, Epic Games just gives away games for free. Yeah, I had no idea. I just loud put up a message. It's like, yeah, they're giving away this game for free. I'm like, don't need to tell me twice. So download that. So I did want to play this game when it first came out, but just didn't get around to it. It's if you're of an age and you watch sort of like, I don't know, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, even like Jackie Chan films before, like the more family friendly films, there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain kind of like look and feel, and this just captures it in the game. It's like playing those films in the game. However, it's not a. So I remembered this when the game first came out because I heard people talking about it, and then forgot it until I started playing the game. So it's not a beat 'em up sort of hack and slash with fists kind of thing. You actually have to know the mechanics and everything around it. So when I got the game and forgot that, I was just like diving into battles, and that worked up to a point, a fairly early point, where the game reminds you actually you kind of need to know what you're doing. So I went to YouTube and looked up a guide of like the parries, the ducks, the different combinations. So I'm trying to take that. But I really enjoyed this game. The only thing I wouldn't say don't like, it's more very much a personal kind of me thing, because it's a roguelike. I think it's a roguelike where so you die and your death kind of works into the mechanics of the story. So when you die, you get a year older and you continue going. And that's fine. It's just like for me personally, it's almost like a reminder that I'm failing at this game. Almost. I don't think that's the way it's intended to be, but that's like for me, I'm like, man, I'm getting older. Or maybe it's just like it recreates life too much. Actually, I think I've just realized what my problem is. Yeah, definitely a me thing. Anyway, yeah, so I've been playing that still quite early, but yeah, really enjoying that. So I want to get back to that as well and die some more and get older like real life.
So yeah, I feel like that's a bit unfair, dying and then becoming older.
Yeah.
Not getting to reset.
I want to stay young forever.
Yeah, should we get into like the gaming news?
In our video game roundtables, we like to look across the video game industry for big topics and stories that catch our interests and discuss them with our panelists. So we have been doing these roundtables for a number of years now, actually, literally. And for the past few years, I've always scrambled to find something newsworthy of Nintendo that wasn't them suing another organization. And most of the time, it has been rumors about the Switch 2. So today, I'm very happy to say our main news story, the one we're going to start with, is official confirmation of the Nintendo Switch 2, which has been revealed after months of waiting. So many social media posts about what it would look like, what will be inside it, when it will be coming out, when it will be announced. Nintendo have finally unveiled the highly anticipated Switch successor, now officially known as Switch 2, and not the Super Nintendo Switch, as I really wish they had gone with.
Me too.
Yeah, but anyway, I get it. I get why. So it was revealed January 16th with a very brief video giving us a look at the new design, the new magnetic Joy-Cons, and what looks like some mouse functionality. So yeah, there's a lot in there, but we're gonna get into it. So this is basically the worst kept secret. I feel like Nintendo were the last people to acknowledge its existence, and it almost felt like a bit of a anticlimax. Or is that just me? So did you everyone see the video? What did you think about the video and just the announcement and the way it was announced?
Yeah, I saw the video. I think I feel like, as you said, we all knew Switch 2 was coming, unfortunately, because of leaks and stuff like that. But it was just good to finally have it confirmed. I mean, I like the way it looks. It kind of reminds me a bit of a Steam Deck, though. Like, it's giving Steam Deck vibes in terms of its like physicalities. But
is that a bad thing?
No, I don't think so. I think it looks very clean as well. Like, in terms of the design. The only thing I'm interested in finding out is exactly how much it costs and if it affects or has any effect on the games that I'm playing now.
Okay, like being able to bring those games over to
like if it's compatible, like I can port it over, kind of thing.
I think they did say in that video that Switch games can be played on the Switch too. Both physical and digital.
I think I think they did. But then I imagine it's the same deal about like some like compatibility with, so maybe it's not 100% of the games, but the intention is to be able to take them over.
Yeah. That's true. I don't pay much attention to leaks and rumors, and so I was like pleasantly surprised because other than everyone being like, "Oh, there's going to be another Switch," that's as far as it went for me.
Oh, so this was new to you.
Yeah, I ignore rumors. Like I'm like, I don't care unless it's official news. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to support like leaks in the games industry. I think it ruins the experience for all of us. Let the companies release it how they intend to.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they do it like that. So yeah, I try and avoid leaks as much as possible and speculation. So I was pleasantly surprised, and like Nigel, I don't know if you remember me saying this. I think you said you don't. But at some point, I don't know if it's on a Roundtable or something else, but I've said I don't need another Switch.
Don't remember.
I think this is perfectly timed because maybe where I'm like starting to play my Switch more again and noticing that it's aged, but also it looks really pretty to me and just looks more sturdy, because the thing that I have a problem with my Switch with is like I don't use it on the go because it feels too flimsy to put in my bag, and like the way the Joy-Cons are on it just feels a bit not perfectly sturdy. But the way that the Switch 2 Joy-Cons attach makes it look way more sturdy and less like I'm just gonna break them off. So I'm very excited for that. Also, I just really like how it looks. I feel like it just, upgrades the experience in ways that I didn't think of. But obviously we still haven't got like tech info, we've just got look. So
yes, yeah, it was a very brief video, and there is this wasn't a direct, but there is a specific direct coming on April the 2nd where I imagine Nintendo will go. In fact, you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't reveal any technical to just show you some games and then the tech specs will come later. I actually would not be surprised. But I imagine we're going to hear more about something about the console. Nintendo, I mean, like you say, Tazziii, you kind of let the companies do it how they do it. That is an interesting point about, actually, as a side note about like leaks and stuff, because I feel there is like, there's almost like a entitlement of some people where we must know everything like right now. And like you, the company, have to tell us. And I always, because I try and look at things, and I hate using the phrase both sides. I don't like that phrase, but just for the purpose of this, both sides as the consumer, so the person who's going to play the game, but also because we make comics and, you know, we release things, maybe not with the level of anticipation as a Nintendo, but we release things. And, you know, as we, even with our new comic, it's like, okay, there's a schedule almost, like we need to do this first and then this and then the event and then all that. And it's like, it is also the company's right to be able to say, this is how we want the release to go. So when, you know, whenever I see those, like, especially the major leaks where it just feels like there's a lot of humans on the other side who have planned, like, this is how we want you to experience this news. And it's really disappointing when like those big things get leaked. So yeah, I agree with that point, Tazziii, about just leaks. Anyway, that's a sidebar. But for the console, Nimmz, this is where we can insert a disclaimer that you don't work for Nintendo, but you do have a jacket. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts as well about this. Did it meet your expectations? Like, what do you think?
That doesn't mean anything. Everybody can have a Nintendo jacket.
Tell me where to get one. I will. It's a nice jacket.
No, yes, thank you for putting that disclaimer. I appreciate that very much. Yes, I don't work for Nintendo. So I genuinely, when it comes to Switch 2 or just any kind of Nintendo information, I'm just as much in the dark as everybody else. I find out things probably after like even all of you guys. Like I watched that Switch 2 announcement the day after it was dropped because I actually was working. I was being an adult and working. But the announcement trailer was awesome. I liked its simplicity. I really enjoyed that it was just, you know, we're not going to, you know, give you all this crazy bells and whistles. We're just going to show you what it is. And yeah, this is our new console. It's called the Nintendo Switch 2. And obviously, if you go back and watch, you know, the people that have done those like deep dive, deep analysis videos and stuff, like, yeah, you might notice a few Easter eggs here and there and stuff, which is exciting for fans that are really looking forward to this new console. And like Taz, as you were saying, like you don't like taking your Switch out and stuff like that. I found the more that I've had my Switch, because I had the flagship Switch, the first one, and then I upgraded to an OLED because they released a Splatoon OLED, and that's a no-brainer for Nimmz. I'm definitely buying it. But yeah, I started to play a lot more handheld because I was commuting quite a lot, and I really like. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of handheld when it comes to like indie titles and some more cozy games, more couch play kind of games, or like turn-based stuff. Yeah, like I've been really enjoying like the handheld side of things, and I think I really like the aesthetic that we've seen so far. I think it looks really clean. It looks really sturdy. It looks really like slick. And I like the fact that, like they've just, Nintendo is such a master at like, the smallest of finishes that looks super effective. Like
Mm.
I love the fact that, the insides of the Joy-Con have got like that the color in the insides now rather than the full Joy-Con being the color. That was a really nice touch, I think. I think it's yeah, it just looks really like smart and really like a really clean, slick finish. And yeah, just excited for whatever is to come, because that's one of the main things that I love about Nintendo is that they take so much, they put so much effort into like creating this mystery and like exciting gamers, because I think that's something that keeps, I think it's such an amazing thing that it keeps people so like pumped for like, oh my god, what's coming next, oh my god, no way, like this, oh my god, this is happening.
Because it's going to be different.
Yeah, and I love that. I absolutely, that's, besides being a Nintendo fanboy since like I was like 3 years old, it's just something that I absolutely adore about them, that they take so much pride and put so much effort into like keeping people excited, keeping people on their toes and stuff like that. And it really shows, like even if you forget about the Switch 2 for a minute, like recently I've just gone back. I think I fell down like a little YouTube rabbit hole, and
Oh,
I
I
was
did that
watching
recently. It's dangerous.
and I was watching just like, when they were like the whole era of like when Smash characters would be announced, and
Yeah.
like when new stages would happen, or like a new yeah, it was just so exciting, like, and I'm really looking forward to that type of energy again. I feel like that's such an amazing time for like being a gamer, where you get that buzz of like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Oh my god, what they're gonna? And you're just in this limbo of like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And whatever gets announced, everybody's just so hype and so excited. That's what I'm really looking forward to from watching this Switch 2 announcement trailer that we've seen so far. So yeah, it's just an exciting time. It's an exciting time. So roll on April.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Nelly, for you, did this meet your expectations? Did you have expectations like watching this and seeing this release or announcement?
I'm trying to think because, as you said, like worst kept secret. They've been talking about the Switch 2 for so many years. It kind of became is it even going to happen at this point? Sometimes, where they had been talking about it for so long. I am excited for the Switch 2. I haven't played my Switch handheld for quite a while, and I know with like the Joy-Cons that everyone had talked about with their Joy-Con issues and stuff like that. I actually picked up my Switch in handheld mode the other day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my Joy-Cons feel like they're about to fall apart."
Mm.
So I'm excited to see what improvements they've done, like with the design. It does look cool. Part of me wishes that they well, I don't know if what they're going to do with the rollout, because Nintendo do keep everything very close to their chest. But I have the Animal Crossing Switch. I don't want to buy a new Switch and then it's all black, and then in another year, then they bring out the other limited edition ones that
Oh, they're
they
going to do
do.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to do that. Yeah,
Oh, okay. You know
yeah.
if it'll
Sorry
be
to
totally
sorry, spoiler
on
alert.
release or
No, just
Yeah,
from Nintendo and how business is done.
yeah.
We'll
This
give you
is
the
the
bit, and
thing.
then we'll get, and
Yeah,
then you'll get a smaller one, and then you get the non-Switch
yeah.
one.
This is the thing. So I had that last time. I had the first Switch, got that in like the black and grey. Then I sold it and then bought the Animal Crossing one. And I'm just like, oh, am I really about to do the same again? Like, get the first
Yep,
one,
we
year
all are.
later
Yes.
sell it.
No, I'm ready to be patient.
Right back in the same cycle. I'm just like, here we go again.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be patient. I've got a Switch. Like, I think when the Switch came out, it was so different and so new. Like that it was like, oh my god, I need a Switch. But now I'm like, I've got a Switch, so like I can wait for the Switch 2 for when they
Okay.
bring out like
How
a
long?
fun. I don't know, until they bring out a Legend of Zelda design that I'm like, need it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Legend
So
of
you're gonna
Zelda one.
this I'm gonna remember and see if this
Yeah.
holds.
I'll wait for a Legend of Zelda. It helps being broke, so.
Yeah, oh, that's a fair point. Yeah. that will make some decisions. Take some decisions out of your hand.
But I feel like even if I wasn't, I
You'd still wait.
I still have the patience. Yeah, I'd wait for a Legend of Zelda one. I think that's where it goes, or there'll be something else that I haven't thought of that they bring out.
Okay. And this is what Nintendo does. I mean, it's a good point about the price and what it's looking at, because I will. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with my bank account to see if that can work. But this is one of the sort of good things that I can use a business account for this. So I might do that. Anyway, this is not about my personal finances. The price. So I've seen, speaking of leaks, some leaks. This one from Canadian Costco, which has apparently put the Nintendo Switch 2 as retailing as 499 Canadian dollars, which are like basically worth nothing, which equates to 350 USD and approximately 275 pounds sterling. Now I can tell you for a fact it's not going to be under 300 pounds, but I'm curious to know what would you accept as the price, considering, I don't know if it's going to still be the case with the Switch 2, but when we think of Nintendo consoles, at least, I don't know, post GameCube, we don't necessarily think of them as the bleeding edge of technology, and therefore we don't expect to pay the bleeding edge price that you might with a PS5, Xbox Series. Yeah, what would be acceptable in this case as price? Where should Nintendo pitch this?
That's a very difficult question. I think you're definitely right with the sort of with the technology that they have. It's not near like PS5 and stuff like that. But I do like how they're continuing the handheld gaming mission that they're doing, because I know there was a lot of other consoles and other ones from loads of different brands that have all come out recently. So I'm quite excited to see what they're going to bring up when we finally see the technology. Sorry, but yeah, I can't. When I first got my Switch, I think I got my Switch and Mario Kart for like 350, I think, as like a bundle or something. I think I'd probably aim for similar if I get a game, because I think a PlayStation was like 550 when they came out. Yeah, I'd say for something that I can carry out with me, especially if it's more sturdy than the Switch now, I think, yeah, in that region, I wouldn't be too mad at. I'd dabble a little.
Dabble. Okay. All right. Would anyone dabble at 400? That's where I think it's coming in at.
I wouldn't dabble.
I think it's difficult though, isn't it? You can't, because there's so little information, like in terms of like what we know at the moment, and it all really delves upon like the consumer who's buying a console. Like if you forget Nintendo for a minute and just in general, like look at prices of like handheld consoles like home consoles, etc. And a lot of people kind of, opt in for, now not even buying consoles, going straight into PC. It all is really dependent on like, I think the buyer, the consumer, because yeah, I think I agree with Nell. Like, I think when I got my flagship console, it was like a Mario Kart bundle, and I think I bought like an extra. I think I bought an extra pair of Joy-Cons. So mine was like in that sort of 350, 360 ballpark. But again, like it all depends, because if you say, for example, you're a parent and you've got 2 kids and they want the Switch 2, you know, your margin is going to be so different to like someone who's just like a Twitch streamer, or someone who's going to be just like a student who's at uni and wants like a console to play, etc. Because like I said, because to that parent who's got 2 kids, 350 might be perfect, but then the person who's like a Twitch streamer, 400 might be a reasonable price. And then for someone who's like a uni student, kind of wants a bit of entertainment and stuff like that, like 250 might be the right price. So you just can't really, I don't know, at the minute I just think it's too early to kind of say what's a correct price or what's a perfect price, because
That's what the internet's for. That's what we.
yeah, you just don't know. Like, you just don't know what, because like I said, like for everybody, it's everybody's ballpark is very, very different. And I think that's the thing with the Switch, with the original Switch, is that, it's a hybrid console. It's a home console. It's a handheld console. So you can play at home, you can play on the go. So it just, you can't, I don't want to sit here and say like 300 is perfect. That's how much I should pay. Like, but because, it's not viable to say that, because everybody's going to have a different ballpark of what they think is, the right price or the correct price.
I will say, I feel like there'll be two versions at release. Like, maybe it'll be like stored, like 2 different storage, or they'll have memory cards, won't they? There'll be like I reckon there'll be 2 versions. There'll be like a cheaper version and a slightly more expensive one. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get people to stick their neck out on tape so they can pay it back.
And I think the more expensive one will be more around the 400.
Yeah, I mean,
That's my prediction.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think, like Nimmz, you're right in terms of like the demographics that Nintendo go for, because based on like advertising and where they place this thing is, I feel they are perhaps more conscious of, like you mentioned, sort of family and student. I think there's all demographics that they show in the range of their adverts. So yeah, like I said, I'm not expecting a PS5, or certainly not PS5 Pro or Xbox Series pricing. So I imagine Nintendo are aware of that. One of the things I've seen sort of off the back of the reveal video, is this question of, are Nintendo playing it too safe? I feel it's an interesting kind of discussion, because as we saw with the Wii, and if you cast your minds back to that was like, what is this? Like, this don't even look like a games console at the time, and it's called the Wii. And then you had I don't know for how long, but some period of time, just obviously the obvious jokes off the back of that, and that worked just like crazy. Like, that just absolute home run hit for Nintendo. And then the Wii U, where I think to date is like Nintendo's worst console, just by like sales figures, like absolutely abysmal. And I think one of the learnings that came off the back of that is like, it wasn't differentiated enough. So I think like your average consumer, or at least the demographic that Nintendo had attracted at by that point, didn't understand that this is a new console. This is different from the previous one. So although I am disappointed we're not looking at a Super Nintendo Switch, I do understand the Switch 2. Very clear, even in that reveal video, you see on the dock, Nintendo Switch 2, just very clear, this is the second version of that. So I totally understand that. But in terms of the console itself, like Nelly, you mentioned, it's similar to what we've already seen, just a bit better. Should we have expected more from Nintendo? I mean, I was as I was putting the notes together, I saw a piece on Wired by Matt Kamen, who says that, quoting the article, in an industry where generational leaps are usually accompanied by the breathless espousing of new features and ever more powerful hardware, the Switch 2 feels oddly restrained. Even the Sony PlayStation 5 Pro, a mid-generation upgrade, had more hype surrounding its announcement. Nintendo has rarely played that game though. Here in 2025, it doesn't need to. The reason is simple. the existing Switch is already a market leader, so why change what works? Which makes sense, but again, this is Nintendo, so should we have expected more, at least from the little that we've seen so far? What do you think? Like, form factor wise, could they have gone somewhere different, or is this what they could have done as we sit here not leading Nintendo's executive board?
I think form factor. I think the release of lots of handhelds recently is the demonstration that the form factor is fine. Like, very similar. Like, you don't want to. There's no point in changing something when it's not broken unless you have a purpose for that innovation, which I think is what Nintendo tends to do. Is like, they don't innovate. They don't release an innovation just because they're like, oh, let's have fun with this. You can see patterns within their releases and like the things that they've always set out to do. You can sort of like see them. I mean, even when you go back to like some of the much older consoles and like peripherals that they've released with them, it's like you can see how all of it has come together to what we have today. So it's not like they don't know what they're doing, like they're testing things out. I think as well we don't know like the technology inside it, and I don't think this is massively out of trend for Nintendo. If you look back on like all of their consoles, both handheld and home consoles, like there's always been a second one that's like kind of different but not that different. It's not new. It's on trend. They're very on track. The next console will be like the wow, innovative, oh my god, what are they doing one.
Yeah, I get it. I think there's almost like, maybe it's the Wii did this, where just in our collective minds, it's like Nintendo always does something. Well, actually, maybe not just the Wii, but then they had that Labo thing. They had the Ring Fit. They've always got something that's weird and wonderful. And maybe in our minds, it's like they do this every time. Where, like you say, there is, the NES and then the Super Nintendo wasn't that much different, and
like the DS to the 3DS,
the
whole Game Boy series.
That definitely makes sense. Yeah, when you explain it that way, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, like it's very, very, like, if anything, it's less iterations, I would say. Like, we didn't get that many iterations of the first Switch. What, 3? The flagship. They've made slight tweaks to that, but that's just like what battery quality and stuff like that. The light and then the OLED. That's like minimal.
I think for me, it kind of felt like if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I kind of get that. But at the same time, like, if they weren't going to make a lot of changes to it, because again, you said we don't know the technology in it, I'd have liked something gimmicky and some pretty colors off it. Just me personally, because when the first Switch came out, everyone talked about the Joy-Cons, the kickstand, and other things like that. So if they've brought out this new Switch 2 and they've just done the joysticks and the kickstand, I'm not really going to spend my money or rush to spend my money on it if it's just all black, if that makes sense. Whereas, like, if they'd at least gone with, as you said, the Super Nintendo Switch, I'd have been more likely, even if it's just in name, been more likely to spend my money on it. And all you've done is do exactly, it's super, even though all you've done is change the kickstand and the Joy-Cons. But yeah, I think we have to wait and see what they've got inside of it. If it's just a slight variation,
I'm sure they've got some gimmick inside of it, and then no dev is going to use it, because like the Joy-Cons are these amazing piece of technology, and like what 1-2 Switch is like one of the only games that actually utilizes like the precise rumble. Like and like, don't get me started on people not using the touchscreen. Like, like, why can I not touch on menus? Like, it just seems so obvious. So yeah, I feel like there will be a gimmick, but like it'll just be a gimmick that no one utilizes, even though it's like a really great feature.
Thing. I mean, they got a mouse thing, which I missed on first watch. What, like, it looks like mouse type functionality with the Joy-Cons.
Oh yeah, like they were sliding along the thing and they looked like actual mice.
So yeah, but I'm sure Nintendo got something in the works. We'll see more in the coming months. There is multiple sort of worldwide opportunities to see the Switch. So there are going to be Nintendo Switch 2 experience events, one of them in London, a weekend of April 11th to 13th. I have not been invited and was rejected, as many were, but some people are going to be there, so we'll get to hear their thoughts as well. And then, yeah, we've got the Direct on April 2nd. So, yeah, I'm sure we've got a lot. We'll have a lot more Nintendo news to talk about. So as we go into looking, at some of the other companies, I'm also wondering, like, what Sony, Microsoft in particular, might do to respond to this. Because, Tazziii, you mentioned, like, there's been other Switch-like systems coming out. So we've seen the Steam Deck, which has been very successful by all accounts. We've had like Lenovo Legion Go, ROG Ally from Asus. PlayStation have a sort of portable thing. I'm not sure what that was all about. And then there's also rumors, or I'm not sure if they're rumors or actually confirmed, but news, some sort of speculation that Microsoft is also planning a handheld Xbox. And I feel that this is the way the industry goes. It's like Nintendo does something weird and wonderful, people mock them for it, and then everyone else tries to copy it. And yeah, what do you see, like Tazziii or anyone else, what do you see as being the response, like, once this comes out? Are we now moving to a hybrid handheld console future? How do you think the others are going to respond to what Nintendo does?
I don't know. Like, there is an overwhelming amount of like handhelds nowadays, like to the point where you're like, I don't know which ones are good, which ones have what functionality, and it's like I feel like it's a bit of a Wild West for handhelds at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Microsoft will come out with a handheld, though. I know they've partnered with a few brands to sort of like be the place to play Xbox Cloud or play your Xbox Game Pass games on this console. So I think if they do, it won't be like a big market pusher for them. It'll just be to make sure they're still in the game.
Yeah.
Like a placeholder thing if they do. Because their focus is definitely on Game Pass, which I recently feeling a bit sour about.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can talk about Xbox and Microsoft plans, because what are Xbox and Microsoft plans? So yeah, Xbox, I feel, have been going through some stuff, and I get the sense there's a lot of backlash to what they're doing. So they started the year with a developer direct. They showed a few, kind of emphasis on few, but it's kind of like what's the phrase, narrow but deep. Like, so 4 games: Doom, The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, and Ninja Gaiden 4 as well. This comes off the back of seemingly every other game on the Xbox is now potentially going to be on every other platform, because Xbox seems to have this quote unquote "this is an Xbox" campaign / strategy that was launched towards the end of last year, so November last year, to position the Xbox brand as a way to play games across multiple devices, not just the Xbox console. And I'm not sure. I think when we did these roundtables in pandemic era, so like 2020, just before like the launch of this current generation, I remember saying that it felt like each of the 3, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, had a slightly different strategy, and each could win. I know Nintendo are winning. Nintendo are good. The other 2, maybe. So Xbox, what's your beef, Tazziii?
Because I said this was gonna. I've mentioned it before. I don't own any games. I do actually. I own quite a few games, but they're not installed because I just have Game Pass games installed. And at the moment, I don't have Game Pass, and so then I'm like, oh, none of these games I can play.
Yeah.
And then there's the other thing of like, even games that like I digitally own the license to play. Like, if my internet goes dodgy, like, it'll be like, you need to be connected to the internet to like, and I'm like, come on, like, we know this is my game. Can I just play it? And then the other thing is, this did happen a while ago, but I've always had Game Pass, so I've never noticed it, is that because at some point they switched, and maybe this is my more of annoyance at like game licensing, digital licenses more than anything, and not owning games, is before all your games of gold, when it didn't matter if you were subscribed or not, they were yours. And at some point they changed it, so games that you got through Games of Gold, you have to be subscribed. I think you can be subscribed to like the most basic Game Pass, the one that just like gets you online with a couple of games. But yeah, to play your Games of Gold, and I'm like, no, because this I've had these for ages. Like, you just took that away from me. So maybe it's an issue more with like not owning games and like digital licensing. But I think the Game Pass massively has like sped up that process, which was always my concern. As great as it is, I was like, I don't want this to become like suddenly you can't just have games to play unless you are subscribed. But yeah, that's my beef. Thanks for letting me vent.
Yeah, no, that's what we're here for. So how about everyone else? Are there any other Xbox owners? Like, what do we think about this strategy for Microsoft that seems to be moving away from the importance of this specific box and purchasing that, and shifting more to, hey, we have this, what is now a very big collection of game studios making games, and we will put them seemingly everywhere.
I don't really have anything exciting to say because I don't actually own an Xbox. But I mean, from what I'm seeing in terms of being able to, I feel like they're trying to make gaming more accessible for people, which I think is good, because you've got your Xbox games, you've got your Game Pass games, you've got your Steam Deck, you can play games on there as well, like, or not just the Steam Deck, other things like Rogue Allies and things, you can access different types of gaming. I think it's a good thing, because I know that in the past, certain people have said before, just in passing, like how, oh, no, I can't play that game because I don't have a PS5. And it's like, now there's seemingly more opportunities now to be able to play more games. And I feel like Microsoft does do that well. But yeah, I'm yet to venture over onto the Microsoft side. I'm a Nintendo and Sony babe.
Well, I mean, it looks like the way it's going, Microsoft will put their games on those platforms as well, so it won't matter in a while. But yeah, I mean, there's that argument of like accessibility, and we, I guess as people who play games, that's what we want. We want more people to play games. You've got more people to talk about games, more people to play games with. I'm going to take a devil's advocate position a little bit and see what you guys think about this, because again, I mean, I've got an Xbox, but I consider myself a PlayStation person. But I've been watching like Phil Spencer specifically. So like last year, there was a big, I was going to say conflict, but just, negative feelings towards Xbox and this idea that some of their what had been first party games would be appearing on other consoles. And I think Phil Spencer and some of our high level Microsoft executives sort of did this emergency, I'm going to call it an emergency podcast, where they were basically like, it's just these, I think it was like 4 games. It was like Hi-Fi Rush, I can't remember all of the games. It was like, he's like, just these games and that's it. And that seems to not be it. So it seems to be like, we've had news of Indiana Jones, which was thought of as like a Xbox exclusive, getting caught up in that acquisition. So it's like an Xbox game also coming to PlayStation this year. And then even Phil Spencer sort of now saying this, so this is via IGN, saying that so his Xbox multi-platform push is in part about bringing in more money to Microsoft's gaming business, with the pressure now on to deliver following its $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard last year. So it feels like there's a push to just get the games more accessible, which I guess is, again, good, going back to the point, good for more people. But so my devil's advocate point is, if you're someone who bought an Xbox and considering that for a lot of people, you have to make a decision. So you have to buy one. You're not necessarily, I'm going to get all of them just like standard. You have to make a decision. and you bought an Xbox thinking like, okay, I don't know, I like the hardware, I like the controller, and I like the games that are available on Xbox that for years Microsoft been telling us, this is the way, this is the place to play your games. We're going to buy this studio, that studio, so we can make great games to validate your purchase of this box. And then you're now hearing them say, hey, they're going to be on Nintendo, might be on PlayStation. Doesn't it sort of invalidate your purchase? Because you could have bought a PS5 and then you'd get the PlayStation games and seemingly the Xbox games. And now you've made this purchase on something that, hasn't got exclusive games or less and less exclusive games. Isn't that an issue?
What if people buying an Xbox weren't considering exclusivity as their reasoning for buying the console?
Yeah, I mean, social media will have you believe that those people don't exist. But yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Because, so here's the thing. The Xbox Series S is very cheap.
Yeah.
It's also tiny. Even the Xbox Series X is small compared to a PS5. So, like, the aesthetic of it can be, like, a contributing factor to why people purchase a console. If people have already been on Xbox, it could just be, like, people, like, just are used to an ecosystem, so you continue to buy that. Game Pass is probably a big one for a lot of people. Like, imagine you're in a shop, and you're a mum or a dad that knows nothing about gaming, and you're like, my kid wants a console, and they like all these different games, and like I don't know anything, and then like the person's like trying to sell, like gives them the option of a PlayStation and an Xbox, and they're like, okay, here is the PlayStation, and you're like, oh wow, that looks big. I'm never gonna get over that.
Yeah.
And then like here's like the top 3 games that you mentioned. I'm gonna go for the really obvious ones here, and I'm sure this isn't what they're buying nowadays, but we're gonna go for FIFA, Call of Duty, and I don't know.
NBA 2K seems to be the
yeah,
one.
cool. NBA 2K. Oh, it's not even FIFA anymore, is it? Oh my god. The EA football.
Yeah.
EAFC. And that's gonna be what, 400 plus £40 a pop for game. Or
£40? Wait, which year are you buying games?
That's too cheap, isn't it? 60. Sorry.
Is this time machine?
Other than indie games, I don't buy games because I have Game Pass, which brings me to my next point. And then they're like, or you can get this Xbox, even if we're going for the Series X, which is, I don't know, that's about 400, right? I don't know.
About, let's say 4, yeah.
Oh, and wait, sorry, I forgot about PlayStation. And then you have to buy online as well.
Yes.
Or you can get the Xbox and, you can just buy Game Pass, which has got all those games on it. And you just have to pay the subscription. Whereas, like just thinking about that, like having worked in sales in electronic stores, like immediately one is way more like appealing than the other for that audience. Like,
so you're saying the value's still there for like majority audience that don't care about exclusives.
Yeah, and that is a big audience.
The big exclusives now as well. Like, do we get as many as you were saying, Tazziii, like the CODs and Fortnites and all those sorts of games and stuff like that? They aren't console exclusive. Like, do we get a lot of exclusive nowadays that warrants the price difference between the two?
I think PlayStation does.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. There's this year, maybe not so much.
Not so much. But yeah, that's true. That's true. I feel PlayStation has, but they're like a very specific type of game, right? That's like a single player, very story dressed narrative audience, and probably like an older audience because a lot of those games are like quite heavy. So like that's a different market. And I feel like PlayStation have a very different market. Like, they clearly don't care about people's pockets.
No, you'll work 2 jobs to get this.
So, a different audience. Like, they are definitely marketing to a different audience.
But can I would jump in here and say that I agree, but then also it's speaking on, again, just from observation of like PlayStation at the moment in terms of, the PS5 came out and now we've already ventured into the PS5 Pro. Off the top of your head, guys, let me ask you this mini question. Like, how many games, in terms of a handful of games, can you say that are like exclusive to PS5 that aren't like readily available on PC? And then when I say PC, I say Steam. And then when I say Steam, that also means that I can play them on my PC and I can also play them on my Steam Deck on the go. So, you know, it's one of those things where at the moment, like, I definitely, just jumping back to obviously the main point, which is the Xbox and Microsoft, there's definitely more positives and there's definitely more pros than cons when it comes to like what Microsoft is definitely well, from my personal opinion, what they're trying to achieve. Like they're definitely going down that route, as a couple of you guys mentioned, the more inclusivity route. You know, you won't have that barrier of like having to fork out for, whether if it's an Xbox Series S, which is, as you said, Tazzy, is quite cheap, or if you want to opt for the Series X, which is obviously in that 400-500 pound world of how expensive it is. They're already eradicating that barrier, because I know for like, I mean, I haven't seen it in action, but I know that with a lot of the sort of the latest smart TVs you can buy, the QLED, whatever they are called now, that you can just download Game Pass onto the TV, and it streams the games via your TV. So, you
Or
know,
Samsung TVs.
yeah, so if you imagine a mother and a father that's got, you know, 4 kids, and they all love like the big hitters, like they all love FIFA, they all love Fortnite, they all love, you know, whatever you want to mention, the Call of Duties or the GTAs or whatever it is they want to play, you know, I can just, once I've bought that TV, I can just pay that monthly subscription of Game Pass, and I've already eradicated the whole concept of like, oh, I might buy a game and nobody likes it, and then it just sits there and goes to waste. And you know, I can test out games and play sort of certain games, and look, you know, with the Game Pass, you can it opens the world to like, if somebody, you know, then wants to venture into like becoming a bit more of an intense gamer, then they can go and opt for buying a console or a PC or a handheld device, and then go into the realm of like purchasing physical games, or you know, the limited editions that we all buy everything for. Like, I think it's definitely more in terms of like that very initial first step of like introducing video games to like a new person, or like, you know, a family, or like the average Joe blogs. Like, it's very much kind of got, it's definitely got more positives than anything, because it's just, you know, especially in the economic climate that we live in, with cost of living crisis, and you know, all the other crazy things that are going on in the world at the moment. Like, you know, games aren't cheap. They're
No,
not.
they are not. No.
Games are not cheap anymore. And I mean, they never were, let's be honest. But like, you know, it's difficult, you know, it's difficult to look at it from a perspective of like, I'm gonna go out and spend. And as you guys mentioned, like PlayStation 5 games are with a very premium price, you know, and then that Game Pass element
It
just,
starts to make sense.
it just, yeah, and it just, you know, in that retrospect, you know, I like, as TJBASC mentioned, like, I never originally owned the first Xbox ever. Like, I didn't even own an Xbox 360. My household was PlayStation, Nintendo, and Sega. Like, that was just it, and that was adopted from my older brother. So my first ever Xbox console that I actually have ever bought and owned is the Series X. And that was purely because I started to play more PC games when I started to live stream. and someone told me, hey, why don't you try, the PC Game Pass that Xbox has? And it was only like $4.99 at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm spending $5 a month and I have this entire library of PC games I can just download and play. And one of those games was like Sea of Thieves. And I'm a big Sea of Thieves player. It was excellent. And then, from that, realizing that, okay, if I get the console, that I can have Ultimate. And this is obviously before they did the whole smart TV thing. But yeah, it just opened a world to me that I was like, oh my God, I can just, yeah, these really cool, other small indie devs or these indie titles that, I would never ever even know existed. It gives them a platform as well to be like, hey, check out our game. It's only 6 hours long, but it's a really cool puzzle game. And have any of you guys played a game called A Little to the Left?
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
loved it. It's
So,
so good.
so if it wasn't for Game Pass, I would have never have discovered that game. There's another incredible game that has a South Asian cultural theme to it called Venba.
Oh
And
yes, yeah.
it's an incredible game, and it just showcases South Asian culture in such a beautiful perspective. And again, never would have discovered that if it wasn't for Game Pass. It's not only, if we take up the financial side of things of it, it's also got such a big positive in the sense of it's providing such a large platform for that small indie studio that's maybe only got 5 people in its team, and they're really passionate about gaming and they want to try and make something really cool and just unique or really niche, and it just gives them a platform to showcase their work on. So I think, yeah, there's the industry at the minute is in such an interesting space when it comes to that kind of element of where Microsoft's vision is at, and then obviously where gamers are looking at the moment, in terms of owning a home console or opting for just the streaming element of yeah, I'll just have Game Pass and do my own thing. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting time in the industry for sure.
There was a point that you brought up in that, and you brought up so many great points, like the indie games. Oh my God, there's indie games that I've played on Game Pass and then added to my Steam wish list because I'm
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
play that again.
100%. To the point, honestly, to the point where certain indie games that I've played, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good that I'm genuinely gonna go onto their social media, follow them, and then if a physical release or a limited run games release comes of it, I will happily support it
Jump on that.
because
Yeah.
it's
So that
because it's
discovery element.
yeah, and I think that's what it is. Again, touching on the whole element of just providing a platform. I think that's such a positive thing to do for those small dev studios. I mean, look at somebody like Among Us. It was literally
Yeah,
3 people. And all it needed was just a platform to look. Well, content creators obviously
yeah,
gave it a large boost, but it just needs something like that, and it's so amazing what can happen from something like that when you put onto a platform like that. So yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I definitely think there's definitely more positives
yeah.
from it than anything else.
I mean, one really positive is the family in your analogy had 2 kids and now they got 4. So congratulations to them. That's definitely
We're talking about
positives there.
multiple different families,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
multiple
Oh,
different
different. All right.
families,
Yeah, cool.
multiple,
I wasn't sure if you're saying
multiple
we're going back
families.
to the same household.
There was, I was just going to say there was one more thing, and it was that you mentioned what if you get the wrong game, and I think that's a very interesting thing that gives Game Pass another benefit is the level of trust that we have developers. So the wrong game, or that the game just doesn't live up to the expectations that you had, which happens, I think, quite a lot. And with Game Pass, you're like, it's fine. There's another game. But we've seen it quite a few times now where a game just isn't living up to the expectations, and buying it is 60. How much are games these days?
Yeah, 60. Yeah,
It's no, I completely agree with you, Tazzy. It's like, but I think also, it's also that element of like, you might have, that I've got friends who've never played a JRPG, right? And I've got friends who've like, for example, only ever played like platformer games. They're really into like, the Crash Bandicoots, the Spyros, that kind of world of gaming. And then because of Game Pass, they've dabbled into like, say, playing a JRPG game. And it's not saying that the game is terrible or the game is bad or anything. It's just not for them. Like, it's just not,
which is fine.
it's exactly, which is absolutely fine. Like, you might love playing like shooters and platformers and action adventures and stuff like that, but guess what, you might not like strategy games, like, and that's okay. And that's what, again, is the beauty of like Game Pass, is that you just, it's when we say like picking up the wrong game, I hope anybody who's listening, that we're not saying that, oh, we're saying that game is trash. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
The wrong game for that particular
That
person.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so it sounds like from what I'm getting is that Microsoft might be onto something with that strategy. So I want to, I guess, compare and contrast and touch on Sony and PlayStation, because you know what? Because I haven't paid super close attention to like the sales figures and everything, but just as I was going through it, it does seem like PS5 is doing well, because it's apparently enjoyed its best ever holiday period in 2024 and has now cleared 75 million units shipped. I know there's a difference between shipped and sold, but 75 million units is 75 million units. So Sony announced that, and yeah, it's just 1.5 million units behind PS4 during the same period of its life cycle, and seems to be doing well by all the major numbers. But for some reason, it doesn't feel like that. I don't know, from me looking at some of the reactions, it doesn't feel like that, because as we've spoken about Microsoft and their everything everywhere all at once strategy, Sony are still you need to come over here to play these games, and you will not find them anywhere else except PC a year later. And and this year in particular, I don't know if anyone watched the recent State of Play.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
I thought it was again, like, I thought it was really good. I think there was
Okay.
a really good selection of games that are coming to PS5. One of them, which I think is coming to nearly all platforms, is the Shinobi game, the new Shinobi, which I was a massive fan of the original on Sega Mega Drive. And yeah, no, that's made by Lizard Cube, who are the guys who made Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
And that's, again, brilliant game. It was an excellent way to open up the State of Play. There was another one as well. The name it's going to kill me now because I can't remember the name. There's a female with a sword, very sort of like fast-paced action,
No, there was
hack and slash.
Splitgate 2, but that's not the one. There was
There's another one. It had like a quite
yeah,
an
it's not on my
obscure
list,
name.
but I think I know the one
Yeah,
you mean.
and again, it's exciting because obviously for people who own a PS5, it's exciting that there is a variety of games that are coming this year for their console, which is great. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what PlayStation is doing in terms of like the games that are coming and like the IPs that are there, and it's exciting, and it's they're delivering some solid titles for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed that State of Play. I thought there was a good variety of games there.
There's certainly a lot shown. I mean, I think, was it Nelly? Did you say you'd seen it as well?
Yeah, I had watched it as well. The thing that caught my eye, I'm a big Borderlands babe. I'm so excited. So
Yeah,
I was
my
looking out for
condolences for the
Borderlands.
film, but
Yes, I still haven't even gone to see it yet. I was just like, no. I'll wait till it comes to streaming services
oh
for
yeah,
that one. As much as I want to support, games and films and things like that, once done right, I was just like,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
it's
for
okay.
the
We took the
game
hit, so you don't have to.
yeah, but for the game though, that looks good. And then Splitgate
Mm.
2 as well. I was excited about. And then the Sonic Racing. Okay, there was a few more than I
Yeah,
expected.
there's
But
there's a lot.
yeah,
There's a lot shown.
Borderlands
Yeah.
It
was
was a
my
lot. It was a lot.
star.
Okay, because some of the I feel like the lesson for a lot of my takes is stay off social media, but um, some disappointment because they weren't the exclusive PlayStation games, and this is why I brought this up with Xbox, and I wonder, is that like a mismatch of expectations? Certainly a mismatch of expectations in terms of, particularly now, how long these AAA first party games take to make, and you can't just knock them out every year unless you're Call of Duty, and then that's a different case. But yeah, so I got a sense of disappointment. But after I thought about it, I also watched the stream. I was kind of thinking, on one level, yeah, if you're looking for those exclusive or specific games and it didn't come, it might be disappointing. But on the other end of it, kind of like what Tazziii suggested, in terms of, like, people buy these things to play games and they don't always necessarily care too much I mean, some people might not even know who's making the game. It's just like, give me options for games to play. And I kind of feel that is what they did. Yes, there weren't a lot of first party games. We didn't get Ghost of Yote, which I know they announced recently and I think is the next big first party game, but we got a bunch of games, the ones that have been mentioned: Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater, got some new games in there, games like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Those titles keep getting crazier and crazier, but it gave us a lot of games to play. So I was thinking, actually, isn't that why we're here? So it almost made me kind of go back to my statement I was saying, like, back in 2020, where each of these platform holders can win. Is that what's happening? Are they all winning, or is someone, because depending on where you get your news sources from, someone's failing, but it seems like they could all be winning.
I feel like that someone's always failing, like,
Yeah.
with these. I feel like it's a very different approach, because to me, Sony are going for like a multimedia approach, like getting people into the franchises through like screen. And it's like, hey, come to this world of PlayStation where we make movies and games and TV shows. Yeah, I feel like everyone feels like they're in such a different lane. I feel like previously Xbox and PlayStation felt so closely linked.
Amy, yeah.
Yeah, like it was like you like one or the other. Who are your friends playing? Like, what console are your friends playing on? Like, as a big Call of Duty player when I was younger, I ended up just having both a PS3 and an Xbox 360 because different groups of friends. But like, that's not a problem anymore. They're in different lanes. I mean, Nintendo's just on a completely different planet. They're on a different planet. Yeah. Who knows what they're like? Not the same. But yeah, I definitely think PlayStation and Xbox are sort of carving out their own identities now compared to before.
Okay, all right, that sounds positive. I've got a couple stories to end on, one sort of slightly bigger and one quick one, because the big one's negative. So it's not all going right for Sony. They have, we talked about Sony having those big first party narrative focused heavy games. Recently, they also sort of pivoted into, or at least very much leaned into, the idea of live service games, which is a word that has been going around in the games industry a lot in the past years. And even more recently have announced a lot of cancellations, or in the case of Concord, just outright failings of these live service games. So recently, Sony cancelled 2 more live service games, one from its remake and remaster studio, Bluepoint, which was apparently a live service God of War game, which may surprise people. I have no interest in, like, that. Those two things just...
No, that doesn't surprise me. I don't know who thought that a live service...
that's not
like,
what...
that's not that audience.
We don't care. We don't care. And then another from Days Gone developer Bend Studios. So neither studio will be closed, which is the positive in here, because usually this kind of news of companies' job loss, although the company has yet to say if any layoffs would occur. Is this the evidence that maybe it might not have been the smartest decision to invest so heavily in live service games that aren't called Fortnite. So are we seeing Sony come to a bit of a realization here? And I mean, how do people feel about like live service games in general? I think Nelly, you mentioned you mentioned quite a few of them earlier on. So is that, how do you see this news, especially as a PlayStation fan?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think all the games that I'm playing at the moment are,
Live service,
but they are also free to play
right?
games. I think I have spent money on all of them, but I've been like, if it's a free to play game and like they have like some skins or things like that that are like reasonably priced or something like that, if I spend like 10 quid or 20 quid on it, then it means like I really like the game, sort of thing. I think there's been a lot recently in battle passes and monetization on free to play games to cover them that has not been done very well. And I think maybe this could be a sign of that potentially. I'm not too sure, but I think with all of those kind of, I feel like it's not been very well replicated in the last couple of years. So I'm not surprised by this in that sense. But yeah, I'm also at this. No one asked for this. Not in a rude way. But yeah, I don't think anyone was potentially looking for this. Like, you know, those who like God of War will spend the money on it and things like that. Same with Spider-Man being a solo game as well. Like those who like
Yeah.
it will spend money on it. If you were
And I
trying to
did.
bring it in a live game, potentially with a battle pass system or however you were going to try and monetize it and things like that, it just gets very, very difficult. So I think if it's not broke, they probably decided let's not fix it. But yeah.
I feel like AI came up with that whole live service God
That
of War.
strategy.
Like these two things are trending. Let's put them together. Because like I haven't played God of War. I'm gonna be perfectly transparent, though I feel like I have through
Ooh.
proxy
Yeah.
of Nigel. I know the type of people that play God of War.
I've been typecast.
None of them. They are not live service game players. Who are
No.
you kidding? And the people that are live service game type players aren't hopping on a game because it's God of War. Like that's not how those. Anyway, but yeah, I totally agree with what you said now about the way it's monetized. Because I feel like for me, I'm one of those people that if you tell me to do something, I don't want to do it. So some live service games will push the monetization as if it's something I need to do, therefore I don't want to. Whereas I mentioned earlier, I've been playing Infinity Niki. Oh, I've been close to spending some money on that. When the right pretty dress comes along, I feel comfortable giving my money over because I'm like, you've already given me the value of that experience and you're not forcing it down me. You're not restricting my experience. You're not going, here's a free game, but actually it's not free. You're not restricting my experience over it. You're actually giving me a free game, and then I can be like, oh, you're adding value. Let me buy this. And not using like really, I mean, it's got gotcha mechanics, but some games have some serious gotcha mechanics, which are just gambling disguised.
Sure. Yeah, I feel then this is a lesson slowly being learned. I mean, you know, the bad thing is that oftentimes a lot of these announcements of cancellations and things do come with, and we've laid off a bunch of people, and there's a whole kind of conversation we'll probably be having, unfortunately, over the year about the way the games industry sort of makes money and how it seems to be, unless your game is a smash hit, you might be at risk at losing your job, which is I don't know, just a completely crazy way to run an industry and just not sustainable at all. So it does feel like there's still lessons being learned in terms of the way games industry makes money. And I know, like, I'm not personally a fan of live service games outside of our games night. That I'm very appreciative of free to play games, but it's a valid way to play a game. I know it's got a very bad reputation now. I think the wider thing is, to me, it looks like live service, for better or for worse, is one of the ways of the games industry figuring out how it continues to make money, because how it did it or had done it sort of to date, or at least to I don't know what, 2019. It won't be that, and it kind of it's in all of our interest for the people whose decisions this is to figure this out and really like learn from this. So I think as I look at these live service cancellations, I hope it's actually let me say that again. As I look at these live service cancellations and the success of games like Astrobot, which has been a very big like commercial success, I hope there's a lesson there that everything doesn't have to be a live service game. And I think we've spoken about that before, where, you know, every game mode is valid if it fits. And yeah, this when you try and make every game a live service game, then it becomes a problem. That's how you get God of War live service and then have to sort of cancel it later. So yeah, I'm just curious. But it does seem, it would be interesting to take a look at these different strategies towards the end of this year, because it does seem like it could still be that each of these three could win, whatever win means for them, in very different ways. So that's something. So I'm going to wrap up. I want to see if we can quickly squeeze in one more story. Did people want to talk about a new in-person event from the E3 organizers or GTA 6?
Wait, there's a new event from E3 organizers. This is actual genuine news to me.
News. Okay, let's break some news for Tazziii. Also, GTA 6
is going to have lots of airtime. Like,
all right, so to wrap up, the E3 organizers, the ESA, are launching a new, more exclusive gaming conference. So the Entertainment Software Association, which is the trade group that represents the video games industry, is making a new conference after the very public collapse of E3. This time closed to the public and focused on connecting games to the rest of the entertainment business. So this is an event that comes off the back of the last E3, well, not quite off the bat, because the last E3, in-person E3 event was 2019. And then the pandemic / changing trends, probably accelerated by the pandemic, just took its toll. So the ESA announced the official end of E3 in 2023, after trying and failing to sort of bring it back post-pandemic. So yeah, so this is new because they have been exploring different ways to create a new event, and it's called ICON, so IICON, Interactive Innovation Conference, and it's scheduled for April 2026. So we've got some time still, and it looks like it's more of a industry, sort of insider industry type event with like keynotes, industry discussions, workshops, networking, that whole thing. But, and this might be a reason for it, it does seem like at the moment it's got a lot of the companies, so your Nintendo, Sony, actually I'm not sure about Sony, Microsoft, and other big players in this space saying they'll attend. So that was one of the failings of E3 and a lot of in-person events, where a lot of these companies are not putting themselves forward for it because they can do the online thing. So yeah, the ESA have said that with ICON, they are creating a space for visionaries across industries to come together, connect and reimagine what is possible through interactive entertainment. So we've just broken some news for Tazziii. I don't know if anyone else knew about this. I think it's fairly recently. What do you think about the ESA taking in-person events in a slightly different direction than it did with E3? Is this something that is needed and will work, as we end with some speculation?
I think it sounds like a good idea, but I think maybe it's usually with all these things, it's follow the money. Because, with like E3 and stuff like that, it was all for the exclusives and things like that. And then, as you said, during COVID now, a lot of the companies just did it online and it still worked really well for them to showcase. And I'm guessing a lot cheaper as well. So I think if they can get maybe the companies behind it, get some of those exclusives, depending on how they conduct the workshops and things, it could actually be a really good 2.0 version that they're giving you more to offer for it. I think it just depends on the value of what they're offering for the cost of it. After we've gone through pandemics, cost of living crisis and things like that, can they justify the price point and things like that? But I think if executed well, it could be really good. It just depends on how they execute it.
So since you broke this news to me, I'm like, I must quickly skim these articles that you've linked. And it sounds quite interesting because it's not a gaming thing. Like
it's not exclusively gaming. It's the visionaries across entertainment businesses.
Yeah. And so I think that changes things because gaming, even though it's massive, is still somehow niche. I really don't understand how that maths, but I don't understand the math of that one. But apparently it is niche, even though it's not, kind of in a weird place. But when we come to more film and music, it says even sports, healthcare, and education, that it's focusing on interactive media as a whole, which is like big. There's a lot going on about like gamifying different industries. And so I think this will be a successful event because of that. But that's because it's not just a gaming event. And so there's more benefit to like the companies that we know and love for gaming to be there, the connections and the business that they can do in that environment. So yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty cool. There's definitely potential, but yeah, I think I agree with Nelly that it depends how it's executed. I also really hope that they just have a section that's called E3, so that for those of us that never actually got to go, can go and then be like, hey, I've been to E3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's just like a stall.
Just something I can touch.
Yeah, something I can go to. So
yeah. Okay. All right. You guys are quite positive. This is positive. We always seem to get like positive.
Positive event news.
No, that is very true. We do need positive. So from what I've seen, I don't think this is a this will be a consumer show. This feels like they were really pushing the exclusive and sort of business leaders. So I'm not sure if it's something that will be like, as open as sort of previous events. And in a way that's maybe understandable for the type of event it is, but also a shame because this coming from the ESA sort of is almost like a double confirmation that there's something not working with consumer in-person events. And here in the UK, obviously, we've seen the death of WASD and Insomnia. We've got some new event coming in a couple months at the London Games Festival. But it does seem like there's a problem with the model of in-person consumer events, which is a shame. So, like you say, any good event news is positive. It does seem positive that some of the bigger names that haven't attended in recent years, haven't attended these other consumer shows, are gathering here. That seems positive. I'm just thinking like where will this fall in the importance of the gaming industry? Almost like, if I, again, sort of devil's advocate, what is the value of in-person events now when everyone seems so set on doing things online, which I don't personally like, but that does seem to be the trend of things. So I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about something like this being something that could be an important fixture in the gaming calendar. But yeah, I just really want some positive gaming event news to happen. So I'm not yet sure fully what to think about this, but maybe we've broken some news for some of our listeners as well.
Yeah, I miss games events where there's like a big booth that you're like, oh wow, amazing game. But yeah.
Okay. So and GTA 6 is coming at some point. But yeah,
is that news though?
Talk about worst kept secrets. Although I think it might be delayed into next year. That's my personal bet. Is I think this gets delayed, but we'll come back to it when that news or either way happens or doesn't happen. Yeah, so positive. We got some new events. Hopefully the event coming up, New Game Plus in the UK or in specifically London, will be cool. And yeah, let's just get some in-person gaming events going again. So that about brings us to the end of our New Year video game roundtable. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's any stories you think we should be talking about. If there's a video game story you think we should discuss in these roundtables, let us know. Jump in our Studio 77 at Discord, share the stories. It helps me put the notes together. So let us know. Our next one will be in the summer, around what would have been that E3 period, but is now the Jeff Keighley extravaganza week. I think that's what they call it. Is that what he calls it? Maybe in his head. So yeah, let us know what you think, and then we'll be back with another roundtable later in the year. Or you can email us, studio77@mymatter.com. Before we wrap for this episode, let's check in with our guests and find out what they've been up to.
So I would love to get from each of you, like, what's been going on, what projects, news that you've got, and that we should know about, and then also like where everyone can find you. So Tori, we'll start with you. What's going on? Anything exciting to tell us about?
Not quite. I'm just getting on with it. I don't have any exciting projects, I guess. Well, not really exciting. Like
I bet it's
newsworthy.
exciting.
No, not really. I'm just going to try a new format of content on my YouTube in terms of like how I present indie games. So I'm just going to see how that works. But in terms of where you can find me, it's TJBASC, TJBASC on all platforms except X. I'm no longer on X, which I think is the best decision I ever made. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
An X for crossed out. We're not going there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I hope that your new format goes well for you. Nelly, what about yourself? Any projects or anything you want to highlight that you're working on?
Nothing new per se myself either, so I'm glad that I'm following on. So yeah, I'm back posting content again on TikTok and Instagram. So yes, content is coming again, and it's Fleur Nelle on everything, or Fleur Nelle _ depending. I can't remember. I think it's Instagram and YouTube that has the underscore. But yeah, just still gaming, still posting content, but yeah, nothing new.
I mean, that's exciting. I have a very low bar for what's exciting? No, I'm just excited about everything that people are working on.
Yeah, if you're still doing it, then that's exciting.
That is exciting, exactly. Nimmz, what about yourself? Is there anything that you want to highlight?
In terms of anything I'm working on at the moment, well, I've just finished. But it came out recently. When did it come out? I can't even remember now. I think it was like at the end of December, beginning of Jan. I was in the Robbie Williams biopic, which is called Better Man.
Ooh.
Okay.
So if you want to watch that, you might see a familiar face shaking a leg. And then, yeah, in terms of anything else that I'm currently working on, you guys especially are very familiar with myself. I am wrapped up in NDAs, so I can't say anything. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm at the moment. Well, the next fun thing that I'm going to be attending, if anybody's going to be there, come and say hi, is the Pokemon EUIC Championships this week. So I'll be there in a content creator capacity. I'm just going to go down there and meet a whole bunch of friends, and we're going to hang out and look at all the stuff in the Pokemon store and cry because you probably want all of it. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll be at the EUIC this weekend, which is at the London Excel Centre. If anyone wants to come and say hey, come say hey. And in terms of social platforms, all my social platforms are It's Just Nimmz, which is ITSJUSNIMMZ. You can find me on all social platforms and on Twitch and on YouTube and TikTok and all of them. Yeah, that's my social handle. And yeah, come to UIC, everybody. Come say hi.
Awesome. Absolutely love that. I'm a little bit gutted because I didn't get the ticket for the store. It just couldn't.
Oh no.
One of my friends really wanted to go, and we were like both on it trying to secure a ticket, and we were not the lucky winners of that. No.
I mean, there's tons of like community meetups and stuff happening regardless, so you could still come say hey.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank you so much, all of you. We will add the links into the show notes for anyone that wants to find any of our wonderful guests that were on today, just to make that a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, and thank you all for coming or coming back to show. Always appreciate people spending time with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
no
having me.
worries. So, and thank you for listening. So if you enjoyed this episode of Story X Story, definitely make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We're right at the beginning of the year, which means we're right at the beginning of season 7 of the podcast. So a bunch more episodes to come over this year. And you can also go back and listen to the previous ones. I got a message from someone the other day saying like they listened to a bunch of like older episodes, and the first one, it's always weird when people say we actually listen to your podcast. But yeah, you can be one of those people. Listen to us, have conversations, give us a 5-star rating and review. That helps us reach new listeners and fans of story discussions, and sharing links as well. We're also story creators. As I mentioned, you can discover our manga universe online. We've got one title available online at the moment because we've taken down the previous website, which is Origins Against All Odds. Don't forget, we also have an upcoming launch event as well, so you can check out the latest Mayamada story as we continue working on more over the year. You can also join the Studio 77 Discord, just like our website is going to get a new look in the coming months. But you can still join the current version, connect with us in between episodes, and get a heads up to upcoming Mayamada projects and events, and you can meet others in the community as well. You can also take part in the Do I Look Like a Gamer, the representation campaign, which is our yearly initiative for diversity and inclusion in the video games industry and culture. We're working on putting plans in place, starting with the photo shoot. So check that out when it's all ready, potentially depending on when you listen to it, be part of it, like all these fine people on our podcast have at one point in time. So looklikeagamer.com is the place to go, so you can find out how you can get involved with the different events that will be happening over the year. So we also release podcast episodes each week on Thursdays, and they include creator interviews, video game discussions, and deep dives into stories across pop culture. You can always give us a shout directly. Our email address is studio77@mymatter.com, and our website with links to subscribe is mymatter.com/storyxstory. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe, and remember that families are like console strategies. They come in different shapes and sizes, so don't assume you know what's going on under the hood or how many kids they have. Take care, everyone.